Greetings! I recently had my property pollinator friendly certified through Penn State, and I thought I would make this video to walk you through the process, show you what I have growing and how it meets the requirements, and I hope that this is an informative video. It's going to cost you $10 to apply for this certification, and you should have plants that have already been established for a year before you apply. You also need to provide the address for the person who is applying for the certification, the address for the property that is going to be certified, and also let them know if the certification address is the same as the contact address. There's 5 steps to the application process. The first 3 are things that you need to provide, and the last 2 are things that you need to avoid. Food is going to cover nectar and pollen sources, and it's also going to cover host plants for caterpillars. Next, I'll share what native trees and shrubs that meet these requirements I have growing in my yard. Here is the serviceberry. Red twig dogwood. Redbud. Spicebush. There are 3 more spicebush in the backyard. Summer sweet, clethra. Virginia sweet spire, nestled in with some dicentra and euchera, and then some buttonbush over here. This is a dwarf mountain laurel. It's very small. I mean, it's like 1.5 feet maybe. Here's another red twig dogwood. This is the oldest one that I have, so it's pretty big. And the other spice bushes are back here. They're done blooming for the spring now. Some winterberry holly over here. Here's a choke cherry. And the hornbeam is over here. These grow very slowly. Very, very slowly. Here's a viburnum. I'll look up the variety when I make the video because I always mix up which ones I have. So I have one right here, which is my oldest viburnum. It's a little bit taller than I am. And then I have another one over here. This one is more immature. It's getting flowers on it. And here's my blueberry. Looks like it has a volunteer tree growing in with it that I need to get rid of because this is my vegetable bed. I never get any blueberries. The birds eat them all. It's okay. So I have a lot of shrubs, as you can see, and now we're going to move on to the perennial section, and I'll show you the early, mid, and late season blooming perennials that I have. golden rangwort is back here. It's pretty much done blooming for the year. Foam flower. I actually divided this up this year and put a patch in another spot of the yard. Wild geranium. Golden Alexanders. I also divided the Golden Alexander up this year. Wild blue phlox is back here. This is a really long blooming spring flower, but it's kind of coming near its end of its bloom period. Here's some creeping phlox. I actually have two varieties. This pale purple one here. And then I have this candy stripe one, which was plugs that were put in last year. This should fill out nicely next year. There are violets pretty much all over the place. These I purposefully transplanted here to get a grouping of them together. There's a whole bunch of mountain mint back here. And bee balm as well, starting to come up. The Joe Pye comes in back here. It's a little early yet, but I'll try to splice a picture in from last year. Later this year, this bed will have a ton of swamp milkweed in it, but it's still a bit early as well. I also have my great blue lobelia in here and some liatris. Later this year, this bed will have blue mist flower in it. It gets pretty full. And I did have New England aster over here, but I transplanted it. So I'm going to have a clump in there this year, and then a clump back here. You can see I've transplanted. There's some clumps. I have two varieties of aster back here. One is calico aster and one is white wood aster. I don't remember which is which, but one of them is here and one of them is here. Remember that H we saw earlier? Well, you're going to want 3 of those plants because you need to have 3 sources of food for caterpillars, and you're going to want to know what caterpillars live off of those plants when you submit your application. For my water sources, I have bird baths. They seem to favor this one back here. I think it's because it's a little bit more hidden. For the spaces of providing shelter, I do have a lot of dead wood. I also go and I collect leaves from my neighbors, and I also leave my garden cleanup till the spring. I do have some, what else is that? And there's bare ground here and there. Eventually this may all be planted, but for now it's bare. but I have, you know, like dead logs and things like that. And I've collected Christmas trees before, just kind of left them back here as well. So there's a lot that you want to provide for the pollinators, but there are also some things that you want to avoid. And one of those is invasive plants. And to get the certification, you want to make sure that you are actively removing invasive plants. So this area back here was covered in Japanese honeysuckle, and I keep pulling it out, and as you can see, there's some I have to get out here to pull. When we first moved into this property, this was a different fence here, and it was covered in English ivy. I removed that. I also have English ivy that grows over there, all the way over there in that corner. So over here, I do have to contend perpetually with this English ivy that comes in from the neighbor's yard. But I've also tried to let the Virginia creeper take over. I removed a lot this year already, but you can see, you know, I try to leave the Virginia creeper in there, and I also have some trumpet honeysuckle. So you don't want to go through all these lengths to attract all these pollinators to your yard only to kill them with pesticides. So ideally you don't want to use pesticides, but if you do, there are some rules that you need to follow for the certification. Penn State Extension also focuses on IPM, which stands for Integrated Pest Management, which is worth a Google if you have the time. As you can see, this is not a very big backyard for a suburban backyard. I think that my house is about 1,000 square feet, and maybe the backyard is about the same. It is very possible to do a certified pollinator-friendly yard with small property. Hopefully this has inspired you to try to do a pollinator-friendly yard.